anguish of Damilola's parents as second defendant walks free. Police search family home in hunt for missing girl. The road to nowhere, Easter holiday traffic chaos. And why Barclays' payday blunder leaves thousands strapped for cash.
The ITV News at 10 with Mark Austin.
Good evening. A second defendant in the Damola Taylor murder trial, a 15-year-old, was cleared today on the orders of the judge. He told the jury he'd decided as a matter of law that the only proper verdict against the boy was one of not guilty. The dramatic but unexplained development leaves just two boys on trial for Damilola's killing. Their brothers, aged 16. Our Home Affairs editor Shuli Ghosh reports.
The Taylor family were driven from court, clearly distraught at this latest prosecution setback. But lawyers for the defendant, known as Boy D, who was cleared of all involvement in the death of Damilola Taylor, gave this reaction.
My client is deeply relieved that justice has been done and that he has been exonerated of involvement in this terrible and tragic incident. And that is all I'm allowed to say and all I can say at the present moment.
It's the second time a defendant has walked free during this murder trial. A month ago, another defendant was also acquitted. It happened after the judge, Mr. Justice Hooper, ruled the evidence of the key prosecution witness, a 14-year-old girl, was unreliable. Damilola was stabbed in the leg with a broken bottle. Originally, 4 teenagers were charged with his murder after he bled to death on this stairwell on a rundown estate in South London. The court has heard several so-called cell confessions, alleged admissions of guilt by the defendants while in custody. Boy D allegedly told one witness that Damilola had been killed because of a joke that went wrong. But yesterday the judge said, "I have considered carefully the case against Boy D, and I have decided as a matter of law the only proper verdict is one of not guilty." The 15-year-old looked stunned. A few feet away, Damilola's father put his head in his hands. The judge said he wouldn't give his reasons for the acquittal at this stage. The trial will now continue with the remaining 2 defendants, 16-year-old brothers who've pleaded not guilty to the murder of Damilola Taylor. The jury will be back in court next Wednesday when the defence will start its case. Shuli Ghosh, ITV News at the Old Bailey.
Police investigating the disappearance of the 13-year-old Amanda or Millie Dowler today searched her parents' home and garden. Tonight they insisted it was absolutely routine, a search which could turn up clues as to what happened. It's a week now since Amanda was last seen walking home from Walton-on-Thames station in Surrey. Libby Vina is following developments.
The police teams left the Dowler family home this evening after spending nearly 6 hours searching there. Exactly a week after Millie disappeared, the home she shared with her parents and her elder sister Gemma had been examined in the minutest detail. Search teams scoured the garden for clues, and forensic officers wearing protective clothing and masks could be seen inside the house. Later, one team began moving paving slabs that had been piled up on the lawn, together with other building materials. The police say the search was routine and carried out with the family's full cooperation. But what had they hoped to find?
It's detailed searches for documents and other items that she may have written on and given some clue as to where she has gone or why she may have gone, what was in her mind.
Mrs. Dowler should have been celebrating her 43rd birthday at home today. Although flowers arrived for her there, she was at a television studio in London making a fresh appeal for any information about her daughter.
And if it's the worst that's happened, then just also I'll appeal and say, can you give us some sort of signal what has happened so we know and can get on, basically, move on.
The police tonight were giving little indication as to why such a full-scale search was needed here at the Dowler family home. But 1 week on, they still appear a long way from discovering exactly what happened to Millie. Libby Vina, ITV News, Walton-on-Thames.
The Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat said tonight he was ready to work for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire with Israel. He spoke as news broke of 3 more Israelis killed at a Jewish settlement in the West Bank. Palestinians were already braced for Israeli retaliation for last night's lethal suicide bombing in Netanya. That killed 20. Our Middle East correspondent John Irvine reports.
Getting ready to hit back. The Israeli army moved more armour onto the West Bank tonight. This unit was heading for Ramallah, the town where Yasser Arafat remains under siege. But even as Israel was preparing to mount a new offensive, the Palestinian leader appeared in front of the cameras trying to stave it off. In a statement that was confusing and far from categorical, the Palestinian leader said he was ready for a ceasefire, but he did not say he accepted the terms on offer at the moment. In the wake of last night's suicide bombing in Israel, the Americans have been pushing hard for an unequivocal ceasefire declaration. 20 people died in the attack. Only one other suicide strike has been more deadly in the last 18 months of conflict. The Islamic fundamentalist group Hamas carried it out, but Israel is holding Yasser Arafat ultimately responsible, culpable for not preventing it. In Ramallah today, Palestinians were stocking up on food and other supplies, their assumption being that Israeli retaliation was imminent. Even as Yasser Arafat was talking about a ceasefire tonight, Israeli emergency services were responding to a gun attack at a Jewish settlement on the West Bank. 3 people have been killed by a Palestinian militant. Whatever Mr. Arafat meant, Israel has already dismissed it as too little too late. John Irvine, ITV News, Jerusalem.
Here, road traffic was thrown into chaos today by 2 big motorway pile-ups. One closed the London-bound carriageway of the M40 all day. The other shut the M5, the holiday route to the southwest in Somerset. Reporting on the outlook for Easter holiday travel, here's Joyce Hijacker.
The M40 in Oxfordshire reopened tonight after a chaotic start to the Easter bank holiday weekend. Earlier, an estimated 20,000 vehicles were trapped on the motorway. More than 100 cars and lorries were involved in this pile-up, causing traffic tailbacks of up to 15 miles. It all started at 7 this morning in thick fog. The rider of this motorcycle was killed when the bike and a van crashed near Junction 7. 20 more accidents followed, leaving another driver dead and many more injured.
It is the worst accident we've ever seen in terms of the number of cars involved on the M40, and as a result we've got massive tailbacks coming down towards London.
Problems too for drivers on the M5 in Somerset. 2 motorists died when a lorry crashed into a camper van parked on the hard shoulder. The truck then careered across the carriageway and crashed into 2 cars heading in the opposite direction. However you're travelling over Easter, there are certain hotspots to watch out for. On the roads, the M40 near Oxford is now back to normal. There are still delays, though, on the M5 in Somerset, with lane closures in both directions. Up in Scotland, drivers heading for the west coast could hit congestion as day trippers take advantage of the sunshine. For those going further afield, possible problems at Manchester Airport as a 4-day workers' strike begins tomorrow. And on the Eurostar, there's no service on Saturday and Sunday, which means tomorrow and Monday could be very busy indeed. The start of the Easter holiday has already been marred for thousands of rail passengers hit by industrial disputes. Conductors on Arriva Trains Northern are striking until midnight tonight. At Manchester Airport, these passengers jetted off before the start of another strike by 500 airport security staff. They're beginning a 4-day walkout tomorrow, also over pay. The air traffic computer problems in the southeast have now been resolved. For passengers at Heathrow, it should mean the wait for that much-needed weekend break abroad is now over. Joyce Hijacker, ITV News.
Men were warned today that they're going to have to cover up more against the sun to avoid skin cancer. A cancer charity said the rise in the incidence of malignant melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer, had been nearly 6 times higher in men than in women over the last 6 years. Sue Saville explains why.
The increasing rate of malignant melanoma among men is being attributed to a resistance to the basic message cover up. Many men don't bother to protect themselves.
No, not really. I don't use any creams or anything like that.
If it's really hot and I'm sunburned, I do put my t-shirt on, but I never put cream on.
Going abroad, we apply sun cream, but here we should do, but we don't.
Ron Hiley, now fully recovered, was at first given terrifying news when his skin cancer was found.
I had a 3mm melanoma at the foot of my back and a massive scar and probably a week to live.
Such is the concern about the increase in malignant melanomas among men that cancer researchers say they will now look more closely at the reasons for this rise and in future will target their sun-safe campaigns specifically at men. It's a tactic already used to highlight testicular cancer.
You know, if you men paid more attention to these instead of these, then maybe fewer of us would be dying of testicular cancer.
We need to scare men a little bit. You know, that the idea of, you know, producing scary stories to get health promotion ideas across is something that, you know, has previously been quite unfashionable. But maybe that's what it would take with men.
A stark warning that experts hope men will heed this summer. Sue Saville, ITV News.
New warnings about skin cancer. We're taking a break now, but there's more still to come on tonight's ITV News at 10, including the bank error that could leave thousands short of cash. Mother of terrorist suspect condemns bid to put him to death. And memories of Dudley Moore from the women who worked with him. All that and news from your area when we come back.
Price reverse at B&Q continues.
5 years ago, these pansies were 44p a plant. Today, they're just 25p.
10 years ago, these dwarf conifers were £5.29 each. Today, they're just £3.98.
Last year, these lobelias were 13p a plant. Now they're only 10p each.
That's more prices we've lowered.
What is Cross-Stitch Magic? It's a new fortnightly magazine collection for people who enjoy doing cross-stitch. It's full of exciting new ideas and easy-to-follow instructions. With every issue you get a cross-stitch kit like this, containing everything you need to make something special. You get 8 pattern charts like these, and with every other issue you get an iron-on transfer that you can use in lots of different ways. With issue 1 you get all this for only £1.99. And that is Cross-Stitch Magic.
At B&Q, this powerful new pressure washer is just £49. It's perfect for cleaning the patio. Another great product, another amazing price.
Welcome back. Barclays Bank had to apologise today for a blunder which could leave thousands of individuals and businesses short of money over the Easter holidays. It's all because of a computer error earlier this week. Ros Charles has the full story.
Tonight, Barclays Bank is reeling after a day of embarrassment. A computer glitch led to the bank warning thousands of its business customers that their employees' wages would be late. The blunder has affected thousands of company payrolls. The error occurred on Tuesday in the bank's computer processing system. Because of the Friday bank holiday, it'll be Saturday before the resulting backlog in payments will be cleared. But Monday is a bank holiday, so it'll be Tuesday before customers will see the payments in their accounts. Lisa Walcott works in payroll for an office furniture manufacturer. She spent the morning fielding anxious calls from employees asking where their wages were.
Ordinarily, I don't think it would be a problem, but I think because the banks are closed tomorrow and also Monday, and you know, if you've got mortgages or any direct debits or anything going out, just the concern that, you know, are they going to be honoured?
A trip to the local bank, though, reassured her that she at least had enough money to cover the long weekend. Barclays has asked other banks to let customers withdraw cash over Easter, even if accounts exceed overdraft limits. And Hilary McVitie of Barclays says any charges incurred will be repaid.
Obviously, for those people who actually do suffer financial loss, if they incur bank charges that they otherwise wouldn't, then we want them to get in contact with us. But I say our prime concern today was to do everything that we could to make sure that the money was going to be available to the vast majority of people.
Barclays says that most people should be able to get access to their money and shouldn't be left out of pocket. They're apologising to everybody affected, but there'll be some people who could be facing a difficult Easter. Ros Charles, ITV News, Central London.
The United States said today that Zacarias Moussaoui, the suspected 20th hijacker in the September the 11th terrorist attacks, would face the death penalty if found guilty. Moussaoui is a French Moroccan, and tonight France said it wouldn't give the Americans any information that could get him executed. Robert Moore reports from America.
Zacarias Moussaoui's trial at this Virginia courthouse won't begin until September. But in a sign of the high stakes, the Department of Justice has confirmed it will now seek the death penalty for the man accused of being the 20th hijacker. There were several reasons, the Attorney General said, for seeking Moussaoui's execution.
Among these reasons is the impact of the crime on thousands of victims. To that end, we remain committed not only to carrying out justice in this case, but also to ensuring that the rights of the victims are fully protected.
Moussaoui was detained before September the 11th after arousing the suspicions of the FBI. He was at a flight school in Minnesota paying for lessons in cash and telling his instructors he was not interested in learning how to take off or land. Moussaoui is a French Moroccan who spent several years studying in South London, and he prayed at a mosque in Brixton. His mother today claimed he was a scapegoat, saying the American authorities were only charging her son because they couldn't track down those truly responsible. Prosecutors say that Moussaoui is in fact an Al-Qaeda trained agent who was intimately involved in the planning of the September the 11th suicide attacks. But his defense lawyers point out that Moussaoui was in custody at the time, and on his behalf they've entered a plea of not guilty. Robert Moore, ITV News, Washington.
Within the last hour, we've heard that the filmmaker Billy Wilder has died at the age of 95 in Los Angeles. An Austrian-born refugee from Nazism, Wilder's films included Sunset Boulevard, Some Like It Hot, Double Indemnity and The Lost Weekend. He won 6 Oscars, 3 of them in a single year, 1960, for The Apartment. And I'll be back a little later with tonight's headlines and memories of Dudley Moore from the women who starred with him. But now, news from your area. Hello again, a reminder of the headlines. A second defendant in the Damilola Taylor murder trial was cleared today on the orders of the judge, leaving just 2 people still on trial. There were more appeals tonight for information about the Surrey schoolgirl Amanda, or Millie Dowler, who disappeared a week ago. Police today carried out what they called a routine search of her home. And the Hollywood filmmaker Billy Wilder has died at the age of 95. But we end the programme tonight with memories of Dudley Moore, who died last night at the age of 66. They're the memories of some of the women who starred with him in his years in Hollywood. So who called him one of her heroes? Nina Nanar has our report.
Flowers today in memory of the Brit who made it big in Hollywood. In 1981, Dudley Moore earned an Oscar nomination for Arthur, starring opposite Liza Minnelli.
Yeah, well, he's in it, Chester. Tell him, Alfred.
I know this young woman. In fact, we were shopping together.
Right. Where the hell have you been?
I'm sorry, darling.
They remained close friends right until his death.
You just said that, Chester.
He was one of my heroes. I talked to him just a few days ago, and he was able to say, "I love you." And he laughed. So at least I got to make him laugh.
It was his starring role opposite a then unknown Bo Derek which first propelled Dudley Moore onto Hollywood's A-list. Their on-screen love affair in the film 10 made the Dagenham boy with a complex about his height, he was 5'2", into a sex symbol. Bo Derek, speaking from her ranch in California, said Moore's character came through on the screen.
You did see Dudley in his work and in his films, and I think that's why people loved him from the minute they saw him on the screen. He was a lovable person, he was so dear, he was so sweet, he had the most incredible expressions came out of his eyes. And you did see them in films, and that's nice for us.
Dad? Yes, Pete? There's a tea
In Britain, of course, Peter Cook was his most famous partner, but today Dudley Moore's Hollywood partners paid their tributes. Nina Nanar, ITV News.
And that's tonight's news at 10. From all of us here at ITV Weekend News, goodbye and enjoy the holiday.